សួស្តីអ្នកគ្នាស្វាគមន៍មកកាន់ Channel នៅថ្ងៃទី7ខែ8តាមទូ stream អយកចាំតិចយោ What's up man helloចាំតិចសួរ Gemini តិច Restream copyright តយើងមើលខ្មែរប្រកួត Mobile Legends តិចចាំតិចហេតុមួយណា
less and less options here for pro esports in that department, whereas for BTR,
វេត1.3 អាហ្នឹងតា
whereas for BTR, will they
and getting the Harith and
yeah
the Melissa
I
going over
agree.
to Emon, but not the case. Again, there's a reason why Pro Esports wanted to go ahead and pick and prioritize Melissa. It's just so weird how over the past maybe a week and a half in terms of competitive MLBB, we've seen Melissa just kind of take that rise. I think pretty much she's in the #1 spot
ហេត
above Claude, for the most part. But you are seeing where that threat of the Melissa is
Ờ.
I'd say a little more
Mà khang dân
trouble
pick
for
là
the teams to deal with, especially when she hits that power spike. But
ខាង
then
យើង pick
on the other side, it's the ultimate, right? It's just so good at kind of
បាំងអត់ទេនេះ
prepare yourself. That go away from me ultimate is great.
Yeah.
So I think another thing though is because you went with the Valentina, what are you going to be able to go ahead
ចាំ
and
តិច
take here for ultimates? Right now, it's mainly just that beacon that's going to be coming out from Moreno's
អត់ទេ
Dragon,
តើ
but
តើមើលចឹង
that's what BTR also has to decide on their last 2 picks. They're focusing on the XP options. Again, sorry, I'm Felix. If you guys haven't watched Pro Esports in a while, like Barrett's, but he's also a great Yu Zhong.
so យើងយក
Flexed into that XP lane.
Melissa
Focus and Esmeralda being banned out
Melissa rồi
because of just how much of a threat usually sorry, I'm Felix is.
yeah which will now be a
មាន
weird
Valentina
thing pro esports put themselves in because
យើងមាន
almost exclusively I think they will go for tanky heroes rather than damage
យ៉ាង
setup
លេចឈ្មោះ hero
heroes because although sorry and Felix flourishes with your Yuzhongs, your Lapu Lapus, you kind of have to look for a tank now because you drafted both Nolan as well as the Melissa. You need a way to defend yourselves with these
មាន
picks. So I think
Nolan
that's something
អូខេ
that Pro Esports should
ខាង
looking to correct
ពីតមាន
answer, as I would say. And so far,
Zero
what
what?
their response will be
Yusin
depends on Red
ហើយ
BTR because BTR can
អឺ
actually
លេចឈ្មោះ
as their roam choice.
លេចឈ្មោះ hero អស់លេង
Okay,
Matilda.
taking one from Pagu, man. You
កាត់ច្បាស់យ៉ាង
saw the Matilda work in the hands of Pagu. They'll go ahead and lock it in for BTR. This is a whole lot of shields. That's why they banned out the Esmeralda too. It makes
Giờ
a
mà
lot of
thích
sense
đá.
because, you know, multiple shields being built up here by their heroes so far. We'll see what that last option is going to be in the jungle for BTR shortly here. Right now, 2 picks left. Pro Esports, they still need their jungler and they need their XP laner. Or no, sorry, they need their XP laner and their roam currently. Unless, I don't know, Wolf. We did count out the roam
Mà khang dương
earlier today.
double pick
That's
trong
something
hộp
that's happening here.
chơi á vậy
Yeah. Roam Valentina. Ooh, okay.
យើង so tán hay HP
Is that the
Chú.
reaction?
chú tán hay
Reaction. Oh, okay.
Anli.
The Alice makes a lot of sense
EHP.
here. This is the game where I can say, yeah, the
Okay.
tank can work. There's really not much that he has to think
last pick
about.
bỏ kê vậy
But
bây giờ ấy
it's
giờ mà
going to be the Alice, which is also a good hero.
chẳng
You
kể
can
là
play, but
sal
they're gonna be waiting for the game to
Hero.
progress so slowly.
Pet
here.
có lẽ
BTR, they can choose
roam
for a jungler that's really quick when it comes to taking the objectives.
cái sal chẳng có
Maybe a
chẳng có cái
Gwyn
tên rồi
perhaps for them, or how about the Leomord actually? What
Vậy
if
chẳng có cái gì
Leomord
ấy?
be the ones to take the Leomord? That'll be interesting.
If they go with the Leo
la 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 la
kind of curveball. It'd be a big
Yeah.
curveball because I'm not expecting a Leomorn, but what else could you possibly take here going against a Nolan? Nolan's
Oscar
coming
á
in,
sai á
assassins are banned out. It looks
à,
like
sorry
maybe
sorry
Hayabusa.
dạ cái gì hay giá mình
Is this the move
Ăn cỏ,
for
hay giá.
Kyle and the rest of the squad here for
Okay.
BTR?
Yeah,
À,
I think that this is good.
ក្រុម
Also,
កម្ពុជាយើងអាចយកឈ្នះបានទេ thì mình
Yeah,
ban tệ tệ chẳng
because of the Melissa, I mean. The damage, you feel like if you calculated it properly, one shadow kill will be devastating against a Melissa that is not going to be safe for the go away. Of course, there is that two factor of the wind of nature that can eventually be picked up by the Melissa, but all in all, I think this is a decent pick that you can actually utilize in this meta game
តោះ
against the Melissa.
win win យើង
So Melissa, again,
Mm.
first game of this best of 3 series. It's a single elimination. So what are the teams going to be knocked out here for Games of the Future 2026? Bigatron by Vitality.
អូឡើងក៏
Probably
AI
the
sao ta?
favorites in this one, but Pro Esports
Tụi mình
has
kìa,
shown us before
thật AI.
after a sweep of yesterday
Wow, kèm
against
ốc chú chờ
Relievers
mấy
that they're here to play, just like in the previous international. Let's jump into the land of Dawn here. It's game 1 in this best of 3. Now, Wolf, we have to talk about going
Ata,
into this, going
Yopi.
forward. Again, it's a Matilda across from you in the hands of Finn. You don't necessarily have the same match that we saw with Raphael versus Matilda. So how does Pro Esports move around the map against something so mobile for this lineup for BTR?
Well, you wait your opportunity. Maybe the later the game goes, you have enough tank ability so that even when your opponents are
ខាង
more
ក្រោយយើងកំពុងចូលលួច
fight goes
អ
at
ត្រីយេលួចបានមិញ retreat យកមក
can go for the outplay. That's
Retreat.
probably what
Try.
Pro Esports are going to be banking on. It's going to be a game of patience for them. Whereas for BTR,
តែបើសុកសុកដាច់ live គេនេះណាគេ copy ដែរ
just going to be waiting for their first items and then you can
អត់
see
អត់
them to not stop fighting.
បាយបានបាយបាន
Yeah,
គេមិនប៉ុណ្្នឹងឯងបាយបាន
patient, but if BTR doesn't want them to be patient, I think
ទេអញមើល pay គេមកអត់ច្បាស់សោះចឹង
pedal to the metal if they want to early on, because of the fact that
Này
they
chăm
have
chị.
dis-
live អត់ច្បាស់សោះ live កលូងចុះយា
pedal to the metal if they want to early on,
Sorry.
because of the fact that they
Này.
can kind of displace themselves with
Này
that
tạo cho
guiding
mày.
wind. Obviously, circling will be really big. I think
Này
the main theme of the day, though, man, has been just how difficult it is for any team that decides to go ahead and draft in a Cho. Now in the hands of P here, they have to.
Da 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 da
really
da
get
da
those
da
hits,
da
you know? I mean, we've seen it before where there's a great setup, but then obviously the Cho gets blasted, he's gone, and even if you get that kick, sometimes it's not the target you want, you know. And even if you go for
ទៅ
it,
ថលបាទ
because there's
ចូល
a
មកអត់ត
Matilda there, there's a
ងាប់មក
potential
អត់ត
chance
មក kill ទេ
for
នេះ
them to just
ខាង
get
first
away
blood
with it. So it looks like this first
យើង
turtle.
យកទៅថលបាន
Coily
Okay,
gets
good.
it. Oh,
Coily gets
វាយបាន
it.
កន្លែងហ្នឹងវាយបាន
For more, they're diving in.
ចូលចូល
In comes
ងាប់
Ooh,
first blood
covered up
Okay.
by Valentina. That's the first
First
blood.
blood បានទៅលើ
Just enough
សា
to
បាទ
do, but so
Good,
BTR by Vitality, they
good.
want to go
ដក
for
សិនមកដក
a
ដក
little
ដក
bit of
ដកបាន
retaliation in here. They are healed up for
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. Trong vai
It's
tỏi.
just
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Now that can reach level 4. That's 2 kills for Pro Esports, but in comes the Jushin.
Wow.
Being shut
Top
down.
three.
Coily takes it.
31 បាទ
Pro
31
Esports
31
has
31
had enough of
លើ
experience
លុយ
and enough levels for them to
Chết mặt
outrun
khế.
BTR.
man, you saw what
Mặc
BTR
khế,
wanted
lờ-
to
lờ
do
mặc khế
after
chưa?
that fight broke out and the turtle was secured by Pro Esports. You know, they waited for a moment that would allow Nile to jump in and
Bài
with that
ban,
shadow
bài
kill
ban,
to
bài
try to
ban.
go ahead and capitalize on some
គេ
kills.
top
but
4 មក
they just
ស្នែ
got
ប្រកួតហ្នឹងយើង
outmaneuvered, and when
ឡើង
they
top
jumped
4
in,
ហើយ
they got punished.
អឺ
So that's not the fight that BTR was wanting to take. Maybe it was now BTR that needs to be a little more patient approaching these fights. I thought they'd almost give up that first turtle too. They chose not to, and now they've got to go ahead and recuperate around the map. There's nothing too crazy though, about 1,000 gold or so for Pro Esports. But if there's anything that last fight showed us,
អុយvậy
is
vậy
that Pro Esports is willing to take this fight right to BTR
បាយ
and
បាន
not
បាយ
be
បាន
so patient with it. I mean, they're the aggressors, and this is how Pro Esports has played.
Yeah. This is their MO. This is how they want to deal with this, but
ចាយើង
curious to
2
see
kill ហើយ
how Pro Esports will take advantage of this
យើងងាប់
situation.
តែ
They have 1,000 gold lead
ពីលីកមួយ
over
ទេតោះ
BTR. And if you're the Cho, if you're the Nolan, you want to keep on being
ដឹង
aggressive.
ឈ្នះដែរដឹងឈ្នះ
It
ដែរ
will come to a point where this Alice will now be a threat. So you
ហ្គេមនេះ
have
យើង
to
ហើយតោះ
wait and prepare for
តោះ
that.
ទៅថលទៅថលទៅថល
That moment
ថល
might
ចេញ
be
មកហើយ
in the next turtle, which is
ទៅថលចេញមកហើយឥឡូវកំវាយ
some exchanges here.
Tọt sân máu.
Away for the Zaman, forced
Đẩy
to
á,
go
đẩy
for
á,
the
đẩy á.
Golden Eagle. Big ultimate that was spent by BTR actually, which might
Để
be
anh
Pro
vô thua
Esports,
thó
will now have the advantage over
khu dân
this
lộ
turtle.
chiều mà này
Look at Coily jumping in. Moreno has to pop the ultimate.
cho anh
Now
vai giờ
Sa
này
is
ban này
there to force out
tôi xin
Moreno.
bạn
Whereas Niles just
tôi luôn
working on this
ồ
turtle, it will be
ok
taken
ok
by the Hayabusa.
ở đây
Get out
thì
here as well as Moreno. That's daylight robbery by BTR by Vitality.
All right, BTR wanted the objective. They got it. They knew some ultimates were expended down on the bottom side. They want to make sure that, okay, slow it down a little bit. Pro Esports
lôi
is
dân lịch
playing fast. We just
chết
need
mặt
to go ahead
khé
and get
đó
objective and then allow Nile back into the jungle, scale up the
mặt khé
Hayabusa. It's one of the problems, right, with Hayabusa. Usually
lịch
you
lịch
want to
mình
go
thích
ahead
nè
and make sure that you're either getting these kills early on or just at least maintaining farming speed.
kick
Oh, there's
môi
a kick.
trời cop
Nice.
3
Good kick. In fact, Nail going down. That's Hayabusa out.
ở đây đây
Out now
ngộp
by
môi là ở đây
PP, but we'll
ngộp
get it.
trắng có kìa ở
Not
đây
enough damage through Finn, through the Jushin, and of course damage coming up from Eman. That's gonna
Wolf, I'm
be
sorry.
4 pi 4 pi 4 pi
I'm sorry, Nile.
4 4
That's
pi
what he was saying, you know,
tao phải
cast or curse.
lại nè anh
He
Dạ,
ends
dạ.
up getting targeted down. As I was saying, he should want to go ahead and maintain that farming speed with Coily because that's what a Nolan does so well, right? I mean, when Nolan first was introduced into the Land of Dawn, we knew that just he could farm so quick. You know, they tried to do some changes here, but essentially still quick farm. You know, he's able to go ahead and jungle really quickly.
à,
He has
mùi
that
mùi
burst
máu
window that he has really well. He's already sitting on 2 kills, and there's a big threat to that if Nile
mùi
kind
mùi
of falls
máu
behind.
pha máu dướng
As Hayabusa has been, again, there hasn't been many players that have picked
là
him
về
up,
mà này
and even more, even less
là về
players
mà
that have actually made
à,
him
là về
work successfully. So you really have to rely on your team to set you up.
phải lì tình
Skypiercer is now picked up
Sky
by
Piercer
Coily.
mối
So we'll see what you're able to do. I think even as the easiest target maybe here for Nile, being that
Sa chơi nhé dân stream
that's why he's
phải
holding
thử
on
tổ
to the beacon, man. Sa knows that as long as I have this beacon, at least I have a little bit of wiggle room to work with. And Pete has been so aggressive with the kicks, giving that space over. Last turtle up though. It's 1-for-1 right now. This is going to be a full-on fight for the last turtle.
Gonna go in. Coily takes a turtle. Shields for Pro Esports, but BTR they still want to jump in.
đó.
They are actually being warded by this Alice with the floater in the backside. The quad shadow, the shadow kill is not gonna matter
Ê,
so
có
much as
bán
all
là
the
ghế mày
members of Pro Esports are
tôi thao ban
shielding
dừng
damage. Coily with the pokes.
à lấy
They go
mình
for
đang
the
ngồi vậy
Terrify. No one dying just yet. Jumping from there, forcing some
Mm.
rotation. Sa actually forced
good good
to use his ultimate, and that is gonna be it. Pro Esports just takes the turtle
nhưng
for
liệt
themselves.
ban vậy rồi
No casualties on both ends.
vậy rồi
Yeah, that felt really weird.
Lùi.
Right? Just a full-on team fight breaking out, but no one falling. Even the shadow kill really didn't do too much damage. But that's just the power of having this Matilda. Once again, you know, there's the shielding, there's the mobility. Looks like there's attention here.
phải ban cái này nữa
Lead on the bottom.
ui
Salmon
ông
force
tới
as
ban à
well as the guiding
ở đây
ability to aid
dân vô
Eman.
trát vô trát
They
trát
will not be
trát
able to escape their turrets
phải
in
trát
queue.
mà không vậy
While that's happening, there is the Sky Piercer. Nile wants to
ồ
use this
thằng giờ toàn
already
toàn
on top.
toàn
He's
lại trát
looking
ngoài á
for a kill onto the
lỡ
Alice.
vòng vãi lỡ 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 ở đây vậy
But the Alice is just way too tanky for him.
phải liền lại chê
Yeah, and you can see that Sarion Felix picking up the Radiant Armor for the first item. Across the board, not too much difference here aside from the jungle. Again, that's why we were saying Nile wants to continue to farm up. He just picked up the Sky Piercer, about 1,000 gold behind Coily.
à
And given
Đang
how
sớm
things
bày
went, that's kind of expected.
đi
Now,
đến
one of the main things is Sarion
lọt
Felix
lọt
picking up
lọt
the
lọt
Radiant
lọt
Armor.
trên
His whole job is to survive that amount of magic damage that BTR has, especially when he tries to go for entry with his flicker, whether he has it or not, gleams in, Throne of Ruins, and tries to go for that setup. So as he gets more tanky, the more chances he'll have to go ahead
à
and
máu
make that
lên
happen.
lên máu
Coily
dướng
now, Hipsies
rất khổ
picked up for Coily, DHS, so you got your 2 out of 3 items for Kozen. It's Pro Esports just continuing to
Lại nhé,
build up.
pick out
There's a
one.
kick.
lại cho nè
They do initiate with
đây
this
đây
one, and now they take out the
nice
Shogun. Even the Uranus
Chà,
is
lên
now
chứ à.
able to stand against 4.
dây dây dây
Coily, but
dây dây
Rosen
bay
has to
bay
cover BTR with a
quân
circling
tôi
into the
ngộp
Coily
khơi lì bạn
down because of the quad
ở đây
shot.
vậy ban vậy
Now Niall is almost
không sao
saved
thôi
by Finn
à
on the backside. Sorian Felix
à
wants to go in under the turret, has to back down. Eman does
à
not
mà
have
không
the
sao không sao
ultimate, and Kozen will be there
ui đồ
to
pi
prevent
ở đây ấy.
entry from BTR, but what a kill. Coming
Ui
up
đồ
from
pi mui
there,
đồ pi
the ultimate to take out Coily.
Oh yeah, Nile. I believe he got the stacks because he
super
has the
super
Sky
super
Piercer.
super
Is he gonna look for a solo kill here?
yeah 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 Doing.
Kozin, taking a couple shots with the turret. Okay, Kozin's gonna be fine. P's making his way up. He might try to make a play here. Muddle's already dropped down.
Shadow Kill used just to get out there.
Nice.
Kick. There's a damage size here as well. The save
Ô
coming
anh ngộp. Ô chào bạn.
He gets out. In comes the Zaman Force. Now Kozin in trouble. He
Anh
is
ngộp.
taken out by
Anh ngộp anh uống cho bạn.
Turn it on from BTR.
Trong đây
With the sliver of HP.
Oh,
Đây là Dương Bình
literally
đã.
1 HP Wolf. Barely surviving. Good
Bắt check ngọt.
rotation there on both teams though.
Ở đấy coi ly
Meanwhile,
giờ lọt
Lord
á.
being worked on this whole time
Nice.
by Coily. So that's a Lord secured by Pro Esports.
Dương lead cái bàn mặc hề.
BTR might be
Okay,
able to
Jim.
respond and follow through on the map, but they're losing the objectives that matter. And with this, again, they have no
Ở đấy
turrets
váy
now.
mát váy mát.
Pro Esports only has one. They're gonna
Nhưng mà
have
anh
to
lọt.
make some
Lấy
moves here.
không đá rồi.
Hopefully that one turret does go down.
Mày bay
Be looking
trade
for
cái đá.
more. Mid lane is where they're holding it together. They're going to try to push them off. So for Pro, they want to approach the base turrets, but they're probably not going to get it off this first Lord. I expect them to just maybe get down.
Chân
to
lọt
tier two.
đá
Most
đạp lên cái
people
áo.
play this map.
Trời,
Emma
trời,
getting
trời,
closer
trời.
to coming online. He's got the Divine Glaive now. He'll probably start working on that Holy Crystal.
Dương cạm
So
minion máu.
getting in that fighting
Đấy đạch
position,
trade luôn mà chứ.
it's just BTR for the
Lên đi
most
gặp
part.
tên.
Has had a little
Cái trong
bit
vài
of
giấy.
time trying to approach these
Vài giấy
fights.
vài giấy vài giấy.
Oh, damn. Find Sasa is out. And Valentina out.
U
Down for the
tập bài
count.
rồi.
And there is no exchange as Fitz
Ngọt.
survives as well with
Ngọt hàng
his
gì? Ngọt hàng gì?
as this Matilda. Good punish coming out from BTR, taking out Sa, the Valentina in the
Free clear
Dazzle
lot.
Jushin. Not enough to save himself. And
Nhưng
then
ai
the
vô
lane.
trade cái đá bán này.
So there will be a turret push coming out from Pro Esports
Nhưng ai vô
because
vô cho cái đá
they
bán.
still will defend
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
BTR
Good, good.
in the middle will lose their turret. Good
Ở đây
shot coming out
đỏ
from
xanh
Pro
đỏ xanh.
Esports as BTR
Nhưng mình tập buồn đấy nè.
losing some real estate but does get kills.
Okay, so Niles got the damage to go ahead and get a kill like on Saw. But they do lose the tier 2s up top and bot, like we kind of expected off that Lord. Again, a very quick decision from Pro Esports, but BTR is still doing a great job at kind of staunching the bleeding. That's kind of what they have to do. You know, working from a bit of a delay that they had in the earlier portion of the game, but they've
Mùi 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 mùi.
fighting form now. Malefic Aurora
And
picked up
clear,
too. You saw the
clear,
damage Niles
clear,
was able to
clear
do,
from.
especially on the squishier heroes here of Pro Esports. Well, now he can
Ở đấy
try to
trade
them a
nhưng
little bit
ở đây
more.
lệch kép.
And a lot of this again just has
Lại
to
đến
do
vai
with
ban.
deciding
Vai
on
on,
does
vai on.
Nile approach these fights first to go ahead and use that shadow kill, or does he just wait for that right moment? Again, with the Sky Piercer to go ahead and get that.
Design characters for games
Ừ.
that promote
Ờ.
actually talk in minutes.
Bây giờ dạ.
Gen
Mày lại cạm này.
Sports. Going into face first into his fight against the Jushin and the Matilda is really difficult.
Clear crowd máu.
Actually surprised
Lọt
that
ca
they
đấy.
tried to do that kind of
Con này
thing,
này này.
but,
Làm sao mình tí chứ?
that's Pro Esports now.
Sao bị
Jumping in
Uh,
forward. PPP or P. Just call him P, right?
Yeah, I just call him P.
Just call him
That's
P.
a lot of P's.
Without
Oh.
the P's. No, he's gonna take
Anh
the
ngó bay,
P,
anh ngó bay, anh ngó
but
bay.
he's gonna attack it like a
Vài ban lại nữa.
Sorry, I'm Felix for the exchange.
Ở đây
Now
cầm
they
cho vai,
can't
cầm cho vai.
just yet. Terrified the Shogun.
No, no, no,
Nail
no,
wants
no,
to dip back into the fight. No reaction or overreaction coming up from Pro Esports. As this
Lê
is
lờ
going to be a
máu.
very
Anh đấy
tricky
dưng.
scenario. Pro Esports, they have all of
Nên
their
lọt.
ultimates intact. Nolan will have his
Ok. Đó.
pretty soon, and that's also true for BTR. This Lord
Mình
Dance
đi những bốc
so,
ra về làng trường.
so
Chẳng
All right, Lord is up. 13-minute mark. Nile waiting for that purple. He's going to go ahead and secure this buff.
phải không?
Rose Gold picked
Phải
up
lắm
by
không?
Coily to help with this. They're going to try to push BTR off this Lord. It's sitting at half health.
Retreat.
Oh, sorry, I'm Felix. Oh, no, Shogun is low.
Damn, damn.
But the punishment coming down from BTR. Going to the backline. Shadow kill is
Nice.
not going to be close at all. Moreno
Nice.
is now low. The kill out from Sa. And now Niall on the backline.
Anh ngon mà, ngon mà.
Coily survives
Shit,
for now,
man.
but not P. They will take out the Cho. Now Eman is onto the backlines, but Niall gets the double as he takes
Ah,
out Sorry.
peace, man.
BTR just waited for their proper moment to get eliminations, but if it's still a 2-for-2 trade-off, Lord has been reset. Sa finds out that Nael is gonna be looking at this Lord. Eman dealing the damage. Here comes Sa.
Bị má đỡ vậy á.
Coily as well. They do have the damage coming
Lọt
up
cái
from
bãi
both,
đây đó.
but it is enough
Rồi
to
đuổi
finish
à.
it off. Shogun just
Thật.
standing in front of them to zone them out. That's the Lord taken by BTR cleanly.
A really good zone set up there with the Zaman Force and Shogun on the Uranus, just
Đấy,
kind
đoạn
of
ấy.
posting
Ấy,
up to make sure
vài
they were
bán.
able to go ahead and secure that Lord. So Lord secured, and now it's BTR's chance to go ahead and make some moves here across the map. You know, they had the first Lord taken from them. Now they're gonna fight here, possibly. Shogun, okay. Should be able to heal back up.
Reload sẵn dưỡng.
Create popped.
11 đó.
Got the guiding wind
Toàn váy.
too if they need it.
Mình tranh thêm phái nhé.
Deal with this,
Sao vậy?
Tier 1 turret, at least open up the map a little bit for BTR to go ahead and start utilizing this Lord. Pro Esports still in a really good position to fight if they want to. I think that's one of the main things now.
Cả lọt này là toàn ai tranh mà.
Of your gold
Cả minion mà.
for the most part on both sides.
Minion
But
cả.
Pro also has to be really cautious about
Quay
where
to
Nile is. Able to get the beacon out from Moreno. So that's at least something for Pro Esports to worry about. They're just desperately holding on here. Pete, pop and conceal.
Going in for
Đấy, đó sao mà này nó.
more of a dagger coming up from B.
Đó.
We'll go for the circling eagle onto P. This time they know where the Cho is. They clear the wave. They manage to keep their tier 1 turret in the middle intact. That's really good for Pro Esports, but they will lose their top lane. It's the sentry. The push to
Kìa mau. Kìa mùi mau.
no initiation just yet. And
Kìa mùi yes.
be happy with just taking out some of the outer turrets. They eventually take out the tier 1 turret in the middle. I think that
Turret
should
mà
be
này
good
rồi.
for the Lord push for
Mình tranh lùi
BTR.
về nhà ấy.
Yeah, Lord push is there. They're going to go ahead and try to take this purple buff. It's secured though by Coily. He's able to go ahead and get it. Again, I think BTR, given the situation, they're happy with what they got. They got some damage down to the base turret up
Trời
top
trắng rồi vậy.
of Pro Esports. But nonetheless, it's so close.
Tăng,
here.
tăng,
Again,
tăng.
both compositions pretty much even across the board. It's more of the execution now that we have to see. And that's why it's so difficult. It's one of those things where what battle spells can we get out? What ultimates can we get out? How can we turn these tides, turn the fights in our favor? And that's all that matters here. P, a big part of that. That's why he's got the immortality now too. He can be a little more risky. Just not too risky to the point where he ends up not getting a kick that he wants. Oh, they're going for Emon.
Nice.
Go for Emma, the quick burst! Oh my goodness, Pro Esports, they throw it
Này.
onto BTR. Emon could not even react.
Cầm nè ơi, cái chân na.
Out there, Pro Esports, a massive
Nice.
kickoff.
Vô lọt ban nè, vô lọt ban.
The big objective.
Anh đồng ngò vậy.
Second lord of the game.
Lọt cạt mòn.
Big pick off, eliminating the gold laner of BTR.
Cái ớt cô lên đi. Ớt nè. Cái defense này ta.
Make it in time. It depends if Pro Esports blitzes the Lord, but I don't think
Cả toàn này.
BTR is going to
Nhưng phát lọt mà.
So
Phát lọt
Emon will
mà.
be back up in 12. Lord is up. It's going to be
Nàng
starting
phát lọt
on the side,
mà.
holding on to the beacon.
Cái hình
They
châu
are gonna
đi.
blitz it. They're going for a potential fight here, Wolf.
Cho rối vậy trời.
They just spoke, and that's gonna be enough. Big zone.
Ý, chẳng đánh vai vậy.
Models being thrown there by Kozin is enough to stop BTR from progressing. That's a big advantage that Pro Esports have taken 17 minutes into this game. P wants to go for a kick. No,
He's just
there's
chilling.
not much. He's just chilling. There's not much Pro Esports insight when that happens. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's just
Recall máu, recall máu.
reactions onto Eman.
Thì khó đưa mà.
Just kind of waiting here. Orange buff's going to be worked on.
Dạ.
Nile will be able to get it, but the
Yeah.
Lord is making its way slowly up top as a tier 2 in the mid.
Thật
Gonna
ra
be zoned
đã.
out of it.
Mà mình chơi ta.
Metals there. This is one of the upper hand advantages that you get with the Melissa.
Màu này Australia lấy.
Now they're to the base.
Australia thật ra đấy.
That cannon minion's gonna go down, but they gotta deal with this Lord. The
Yo,
other
Trent.
waves managed very well by
Cái đá nó. Ra cái đá.
Push. Obviously, in Eman taking some
Ay,
damage.
ay,
There's
ay,
the
traga
pick
ta,
onto
traga
the
ta.
Uranus. That's Shogun. It'll be safe for now. Gets out of there.
Thật
Didn't even have
lỡ.
a figure. Oh, comes the throw
Nice.
onto the back line. Everybody's bursted down as well. Good fight coming up from Pro Esports. Once again, circling Eagle far too slow for BTR. They don't have the
Don't.
turrets anymore. And then comes the push. Nail. Is he in the back? Oh, he will be able to kill up Sa with a shadow kill. Wants to go for more. Go away. Coming up from Kozin. Enough to fend up BTR. But now it has expired. The
Kozin.
damage coming from Kozin is threatening
Why you-
right now. But now the members of Pro Esports are getting low. Minute by minute, second by second. The Shogun is just fronting this, posting them up. Nail, for some reason, tries a lot of kills in here, but will be taken up by Kozin through the
Wow.
models. they weren't able to take care of business. Now B with the kick, Coilies, they're ready. What an alley coming out from B.
Ui.
Now it's Finn. It's
Trong
gonna
một.
be taken out with 2 low members of Pro Esports.
Nè, sao
Not
tem mà
dead
tí.
yet, and that meant that they were able to get more kills.
Oh man, what a fight. Shogun was able to eat up so many hits.
Anh đấy là mùi
He
vô mà
even
lọt
picked
lọt
up the
thiệt cha.
blade armor in that fight, buying them enough time, and yes, multiple
Bây giờ mình
deaths there to stay in the game.
cho admin điền.
BTR though
Admin điền.
holds on true.
Admin
Pro
admin điền
Esports
bọc.
could see the win in sight, but they just couldn't get past that front line that was set up by BTR. A really good defense despite it all. BTR manages to stay in the game, but they lost all their base turrets, so it was expensive as hell to stay in it. But now Pro Esports, they got to go ahead and do it again. They got to reset here. They got to win another Lord fight up in about 20 seconds. This one going to be evolved.
Lùi
Gotta fight for it. Potions now being traded up,
Man,
picked up.
đi.
Divine Glaive for Emon. Emon got
bay
blasted
khế.
last
Yeah.
time, so he's
Lùi bay
really
khế bà.
gotta be careful on his positioning and maybe just sit like shoulder to shoulder.
Anh đây
with
bị
Finn.
cho rồi,
Either
cho
way, I don't
mình
know,
điền tràn.
because he can't get blasted like that. They might have to give up this Lord. It looks like that's going to be the case. They're not going to be able to swing over there in
Đá
time.
cho tay à?
Shogun already give them the information, and now BTR, they got to be ready for this defense, man.
Let's look at their defense. They won't
Hoặc
have
tại
any
đây.
of their turrets.
Đây vẫn mùi má
Sports
bọc.
can use
À,
this
lo nắng
Lord
tay
as
ấy,
a
tùng chó này
battering ram. Together with the amount of damage that they have,
Để
as
tục
long
chọn
as
vậy
they
ta.
protect Kozen, you can see how much
Tìm mày này.
damage he can deal
Sai
through
sai
just
10
models
lọt trên ta.
from a safe distance.
Sai 10 rồi.
Gotta be
Yeah,
careful as
đúng
well,
rồi.
BTR.
Dạ.
Don't get hit by that models coming
Mà
out
nói
from Kozen.
evil lọt.
You gotta be able to get out of there.
Chỉ nên hát
So
mà.
gotta be
Chỉ nên hát
careful,
xem.
don't move like that. Quickly identifies that he has to back down and cannot show
Cái vai
himself
ấy.
into the lane.
Whoa.
Sorry, and Felix
Whoa.
will be the one. Whoa, what a circling eagle! Sa!
Ừ.
It's the one that we bursted down. Go away. Gonna be used here very early. Tumanakam coming out from PPP. Now Skoili is able to get the kill onto the backlines, onto the Matilda.
Vai ơi, vai ơi. À.
Now, long enough for his teammates to
Lọt vai té hết rồi.
so that they can take more members of Vitality. They can take up two. Now Shogun in trouble. 3 versus 1. Kozen.
Lọt vai té rồi.
Of the circling will come from BTR, but Pro Esports were prepared, and now the defense commences. BTR, two
Một đã xa mua
versus
dừng.
four. The
Đầu
Lord
tư.
defense, they're jumping
Đạo
forward
vía tư.
with some baits into
Đạo
the
vía
turret.
tư.
Incoming
Yes.
push, and they will take it.
Yeah,
Pro
yes.
Esports take
Yes, sir.
game on.
Ooh, what a
Cọc.
game one. Just when I thought a heroic play was going to
Cọc,
come
cọc,
out
cọc, cọc.
from Finn and Nile on that circling eagle guiding win combo into the shadow kill. It just was unfortunately not
cảm
enough
nhận.
as Pro Esports comes out on top with the team fight, man.
IP Soul
Again,
đòi
a
mau.
great showcase of team
Đập
fighting
bật.
between both teams.
Bật lại.
Wolf, it's looking like we might potentially go to a game 3 with this one because this is a longer game than we're used to. Not plus the 25 minutes, but very close. We're going to be taking it to a break before we head on over to the panel.
Tranh xe kiếm mà. Cái AI chứ à. Này chăm tới vô. Chăm ra. Cần màn tí bàn trô lên. Trường bánh game thì sách mình đang game 17 start. Lê lê thì nè cam rì nè về up training ngoài em flip bật should be kemยังlấy hai cô thằng đừng cao nè để bây giờ nó phải được kemยัง Đúng không? Rồi là mùa do anh em đúng không? Mấy ba nè. Cái nhà đi mùa phải làm vậy nè. Học. Thôi. Thôi mang cam sẽ lại thôi. Chứ kem sẽ trong miếng này nè. Không phải thì nè. Anh nghĩ ghê. Cái tên nào. Đây này một chút. Anh tí tao mơ mà mang cái tờ.
What do you think? What's your opinion? Everything. I mean, really long game again. One.
Dừng lại game cái tờ xem thứ. Đây. Mì. Đó. Anh bọt quá. Bay. Đã nhầm play online rồi. Mình bot mấy này. Tập anh dừng rồi. Thật mà học khay nè, phải khéo là see slide. Đi một bot mấy nữa. Ôi. Ram kìa. Victory. Mau nhầm xong lên online mau. Câu đợi rồi. Đòn ái game. Anh thử. Country. Miền ấy thì cho bạn ngồi rồi là chắc đây lên chắc đây. Cái bên này mình lớp anh. Ui. Mình đây rồi. Mình đây người boss. Mày chơi tránh à? Banh tại này mấy không copyright, 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 không copyright. Rồi châu cá mày lấy vào thắng bắn. Lên này chẳng mơ mà nét nó bay nhạc chú nó việc keng ở chỗ này mình đang cầm bàn nón mơ mà kèm trong khỏi khá mà vậy.
Now you've got a lot left open for you to go ahead and trade in. They're going to go with the Fanny. Wow, not what I was expecting. But I think, again, every time I see an early pickup of the Fanny, it's a mix of what feels like, you could say confidence, you could say a little overconfidence. But now you have to deal with the fact that you're showing your hand this early on.
Mơ mà nó mũi đây.
Pro esports. They know how to handle a Fanny, right? Coily can play a Fanny.
Chẳng tay nhau theo. Đây thằng Hào lên, buộc khám á.
Well, it means that they also want to win the jungle battles. There is no Hirara, anyways. They ban it out. There's no Melissa that they have to be afraid of. However, it still opens up the idea of the Belleric. I think that they're eyeing for the Atlas eventually here for BTR. Usually paired up with the Selena, but they can also go for the Rafaela route, which we saw was also successful in the previous series. But then again, having the Fanny very early in a game where the Hirara is banned out means that you are so confident actually with your
Thật
Fanny
thật.
player. And I feel like Nael is a
Okay,
really good Fanny player.
Nghe dần
Yeah,
bật
that's
ai.
true. I mean, at this point, man, a lot of these teams, they've got really good junglers that can handle these mechanically challenging heroes like the Fanny. Probably still one of the most difficult heroes to
Vô
kind of
Selene,
even in the likes of
Uranus,
Curry or
Penny,
Moily or
Dương
these specialist players. We
cho
still
đám
see the same
chớ
thing though. The problem is you pick
vô Mỹ
Fanny,
copy.
and let's say you're pressured, right? You're pressured in your jungle. The whole team has to come together. The whole team has to help you secure your buffs, especially early on. That purple buff's so important. Because otherwise, then you're just resulted into, okay, I'm going to push across the map. It's the same thing that we saw back
Paquetá.
when the Ling was popping up
Dừng,
more,
giờ đã
when
lên
this meta
Paquetá.
was being developed, and then the Ling just kind of fell off, right? And that's
Yeah.
kind of the case where it's like, if I can't get my buff, if I can't join these fights because I'm getting stunned or blasted, then what I do? Fanny has a little more room to work with, right? She can cable on through, kind of get out for safety, even if she doesn't necessarily have the buff, but it's just better if she does. So the main point is controlling the jungle, letting Niall get the farm that he needs, the buffs that he needs, and then hopefully they can set up off the fight. That's why they also have a Selena. Again, I mentioned this earlier when Haji played the Selena. I was like, probably the
Vô Paquetá mà phải Fanny quá.
even. I don't know who's better, man. Honestly, it's so hard to call. Either Haji or Moreno. They're both fantastic on the Selena
Yeah.
pick. And so that's part of the plan here. As we get through the rest of the bans, we'll see what else is going to be planned here around this Fanny pick, because the other thing is you don't have the Kufra as an option anymore for pro esports. That's what we saw pick up yesterday.
But at the same time, though, Moreno with the Selena, the Maestro, is going to have a good time in here. We did say that it will be the pickup for BTR, and they did pick it up for themselves. And this is already looking good now for BTR as their first 3 picks. However, I could say that Pro Esports has got something else going on as well. With this Paquito, it means that this will be their flex pick. I can fairly remember Sorian Felix
phải nói
actually
chứ.
played this as well. This means that it
Phải
will
vô
be
phải
played
nói
in
vô
the
lực pin
EXP
mà
role as well as the jungle, and it will be slowly be revealed. But it seems like
Nhưng trên này
BTR are
nhưng
not
trên mà cái
biting
tiết chúng
that
là cái
trap.
dân ba
They
hờ
will know
râu
that
rá
there will be a
Cookie.
jungler option, so they will just ban out the Nolan for themselves.
Okay, ban out that Nolan. Now on the red 4 here, once this last ban comes out, I think they still go for the jungle. You still have to leave it up in the case of maybe the Paquito somehow goes in the jungle. Again, we've seen this a couple times, although it is rare. I think this last ban will kind of tell us, and also the red 4 pick will tell us where Pro Esports is going with it.
Right. Well,
Ah.
what this entails is probably you pick up your XP now, at least for Pro Esports, because that's the least.
Trong
that you
dân
can
ớt
do
lên
for-
nhờ Linh đi chẳng nó trở lên
Against the Uranus, you are tempted to go
Tin ra
for
vậy.
the Esmeralda,
Nó
but
khi
at
nào
the
vô
same time,
lên
you want
vô
some
lên cho Phật
control onto the Fanny, so you might be looking towards some
Linh
somewhere
Linh
along the
ghét
lines of
toàn bạn
Scarlet, or maybe a Yu Zhong actually for Soria Felix, which he plays so well. No
Ai chẳng
Barats
pick cái kế mà
available, so
nhìn vô
will not be an option for
Oh,
them. So they go
Kufra.
Kufra. Wow.
chặt Fanny
Wow,
Kufra.
I didn't think it would pop up. That's why I was like, well, the Kufra is
Yeah.
probably not an option anymore since you have the Belric. But so does
Paquet-
this mean Belric going in the XP?
That's right.
Paquetá
Paquito
cô
going
lên
in the jungle.
Chẳng
Kufra's the
That's
roam
right.
now. Pro
Anh đang
Esports
chơi
has done the flex.
Yeah.
PHP
There is an option for the
Kufra.
gold lane Paquito
Rome.
actually, to go with an assassin, but
như này chẳng
we
gõ
won't find out up until the last pick. That's the beauty of having the
Một cái
Paquito
pick
when the
đi
Barats
pick
is banned
double
out.
pick plus double pick
BTR, how do they respond with this? They can go for probably a storm like a Brody, for example, for Eman, which is generally good. Oh, they went for the Claude up against the Beleric, and there is the Paquito as well as a threat. So I'm actually not sold with this, but at the same time, they do have the Gatot Kacha, which is a way to defend the Claude anyway. So I still feel like the real carry of this game for BTR is going to be the fan.
Cloud back
It's the real
กระตุกกระ
centerpiece
จาย
of this composition.
อู้
And the Cloud is more like
អា
a
រឹត
lane stabilizer.
ចង់ប៉ាកដោ
Correct your
ប៉ាកដោ
lanes,
ចាំងក
able
វិញ
to whittle
Wow.
down the heroes of your opponents with your
What
damage
a
and the
flick,
blazing duet,
man.
and there could
Flick
be
roll
a
វិញ
Fanny to clean up everything afterwards.
Okay. I like, dude, honestly, I like what Pro Esports did here in this draft. You know, they went with a lot of flex potential with the heroes that
a
they
lot of
picked
flex
up.
potential
We've seen shades of this, but that's how they want to go ahead and deal with the Fanny and the rest of the lineup from BTR by Vitality. This could be really difficult depending on the way the Kufra especially is utilized to go ahead and play against the Fanny. Because even if not, even if the pressure isn't there in the jungle, then when those team fights break out,
បងកូល kill
all you need is
Pro
options,
Esports
you know, and
Bong
it
Cole
kinda
Gahom.
ruins things
BTR
for Nile. So again, we saw this Kufra pop up yesterday.
តើ
Could end up just getting Pro Esports the sweep against BTR in this one, unless something else happens. But that's kind of the theory we're throwing out here. Again, this for me, Wolf, I'm gonna have to lean
Macho
towards Pro
Gamma.
Esports, man. You know, I know we went
Alright.
with BTR in the first one. Who are you going with, real quick?
Yeah, I like that. I like the BTR lineup, but at the same time, I do agree with what you just said. So it's pretty even for me, to say the least. And I'm just excited to see what is in store for us in game number 2, because this time
ចា
it's gonna
Fanny
be the Fanny. I always like
Well,
watching
come on.
good Fanny games, and now it's gonna be up against the Kufra, which in turn would
yeah.
incite
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of
Yeah,
outlets,
yeah.
a lot of mind
Chẳng
games
thấy, chẳng
between
thấy.
the two players.
Okay, well,
Fanny chẳng
a
thấy.
pretty zoomed in look right now. I'm not sure where Nile was
Đi
going to
sát
go
thật.
for. I know he cabled through Finn. Okay. Really close look. I'm trying to see
Ất.
where also
Anh đạp
Nile
lon
ends up going and
Ủa, chết
grabbing
bây
the
giờ.
green camp. He's up at the top
đạp
side
lon
now.
vai mà Bên nè nè
Now,
vậy
Fanny going in for some
nè
grabber invasion.
There we
đi
go.
vậy
Not entirely sure if he was successful with it,
Yeah.
but Coily seems like he has the higher levels with the double buff, and
rồi đi về
he's
bay
capable
Fanny
of
kia là
doing
về
something that the jungle
kia là bay man
has
Phải
to
bi.
make a lot happen in the
Phải.
early stages. Well, I guess not literally the early stages, but from the mid game perspective, like 5 to 8 minutes. If you are able to
Vậy
get
bay
lots of
đại
eliminations
thôi.
during that time, that
Chân về bay trở
generally
lại
will mean that you will allow your team to be in a
Phải thò
comfortable
cả
spot.
top second it
Okay, so at this point, we go wait for this first turtle to go ahead and pop up here. No early first bloods. It looks like even across the battle spells, nothing was expended, which is kind of odd because usually in that first exchange, you see at least some battle spells being burned down. But this time, not going to be the case. First turtle pulled through by Finn. Again, we're on broken walls too for this one. So a little more, I guess, uniqueness that can happen here depending on how Nile plays it on this Fanny. Even sweeping through turtle takes or eventually lower takes.
cho
Here
bay
we
dân
go, though.
hỏi bật lọt mặt
Indeed, that's Moreno.
ừ.
PPP
Ừ.
top in though. Oh, look at the
Một.
movement out of the nail. It's gonna be taken
là
out.
Fanny vậy
Got that catch is
Copy.
far too late to save
Đâu.
his teammate.
sang copy
Beleric from
Đâu.
Sorry and Felix with that flicker is
ngọn
good.
bên tới
That
đây
would be the exchange. I would assume that there was an arrow that was able to land, but taking down Nail early on in this game, this is really
em
good
mà
for
đóng
Pro
bạ liền vậy
Esports.
chứ vậy
It's good for Pro, but they're going to lose the turtle anyway. Off of that arrow. Again, that's why we talk about Moreno being a key playmaker here. Now they're in the jungle.
In the jungle, going in for the kill once again. They want to go for P. P is down. No
Ở đây.
bouncing ball. That's a good fight
PP
coming out from BTR.
Một.
They
Ở
needed
đây
to
à, thấy
recover
kìa.
for this. For this Fanny, and they were able to find it. It's gonna take more from them if they want to get back into this game.
Okay, so off of those first takes, BTR play into their strengths, man. Again, Nile being able to move around. The bouncing ball hasn't been too much of a problem to deal with. But again, I think a big part of this is
Mình
just
phải
the
chơi
arrows.
kèm này
I wish we always had an
phải chơi
arrow
nhát cho mà
counter. Wish that was possible someday when the Selena's like in play. Just because sometimes, you know, they're being landed off cam too, and they are quite effective, not to mention the traps here.
ở đấy
Taking a
là
little
lì
quickly here
em
for the
hơi mình
emblems, pretty standard stuff across the board. Blade of Hepsi's already picked up though. for Nile.
dương
And yeah, there's one thing that you can say about Pro Esports is this is going to take a little bit of time for them to come online. The Paquito, though, the Paquito in the jungle, for some teams it works. I feel like this is more of a 50-50 pick in the jungle.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You really have to master it, but at the same time, there are so many players that can.
Chói, chói. Fan ní chói. Lập. Ngọt.
They take out Nail once again. Sorry, Felix will be the one to get the last hit, but it's
Vãi á, vãi á, vãi á.
into the combo from the champ stacks. It's enough.
Oh
That's
shit
enough
man.
to knock up Kozen
Sao mà đài.
away from the
Kozen những sao mà đài
top.
đài.
Flicker committed.
Ngọc
The golden
Fra thì bây
Now
giờ.
they go on to P, who is unsuccessful taking down a trade down the bottom lane. And Kozen will not only utilize his flicker, he will also likely lose one of the cards here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, he's going to lose this. Saw trying to alleviate some of the pressure here without that. But there's an arrow. He wasn't even aware that Moreno, the maestro, was still there. And another arrow landing. That's 3 kills now for Moreno. Picking up his boots. He's got the arcane boots, got the glowing wand, but he's just on point right now with these arrows. I will prompt the reaction onto the bottom lane for BTR to be there. Kozen is a full level, in fact, behind his competition. A gold lane Claude. Oh, it's gonna be very tricky now for BTR. Now will secure one neutral objective. It's gonna be enough for them to a little bit of a leeway here in the early stages. However, Pro Esports seems like they are going to be moving towards the bottom lane. PvP. Oh, going to be using a Tyrant's Rage onto Finn, but Finn is very tanky. Yeah, I thought he was going to go for Emon. Really good response there from Finn to be there just in case. Again, both teams really wanting to protect their gold laners. Right now, too, Kozen hasn't died, but he's just dealt with so much pressure. Like you mentioned, he's down, you know, a whole level. He's going to have some time to catch up here. Meanwhile, Emon able to go ahead and farm up. So far, BTR has really just continued to play around their strengths.
Ba cái đấu mấy nhà bang kia nè. Kêu châu
moving around the map. Pro Esports has been trying to stay equal to what BTR is doing here. So you still got a minute for this turtle to come up. It's going to be the last one of the game. So far, 2 for 2 going to BTR. And right now, Pro Esports might be in one of those positions where, you know, they have to wait for that first Lord. They should just probably give up this next turtle with the way things are going. They really gotta allow things. Oh, and that's gonna make it worse. Coily goes down on the top side of the map. Oh, quick takedown by by BTR actually with the Fanny now. Looking really good start for Dale. Even after those 2 vets from the Wrath of the Dryads was started by Soria. Felix is now recovered. Now to the bottom lane. PPP. No more bouncing ball means the Fanny can just go ham. Forcing them out. With a jump and in comes Finn as well. They do take him out with the L. No, this time no bouncing ball anymore. PPP will not be able to outplay Nail. Nail is low though. He goes Coily with the retribution. Will get the kill, but the stun and the taunt. Coily now in trouble. Mega kill for Moreno. Finn.
Recall lại, recall. Ngọt.
Taking damage of Sa, but that was BTR taking 2 important heroes from Pro Esports. They're not done. Moreno wants to take out Sa. Sa copies the Selena, but that is not going to be enough. He will just be able to copy 1 dash. And that's it. Pro Esports losing their members down the bottom lane. Yeah, what a messy fight for Pro Esports. Again, under their turret, started on the tier 1, got pushed back. BTR did a great job at juggling around that. That's going to go ahead and result in 3 for 3 for the Turtles here. As Coily, it just seems like he's trying to do too much reach, too much range to deal with. Oh, on the turret. Under the turret they go. They will not be able to push now, BTR. This is Zaman Force, the entirety of Pro Esports, just utilizing all of their ults, not all of their ults, but most of their ults just to defend the mid lane. Zaman Force right now, Coily doesn't have the retribution too, so this could be for Shogun. No help from his teammates, but he still will go to the back lines. Well, that actually allowed Nael to get some camps here in the jungle of Pro Esports. All the while that's happening, 2 pushes commenced. BTR cleaned up mid, and it was Eman to take out the turret in the bottom lane. A tier 2 in the back. Oh, the arrow connects actually. Oh no, Finn! That's going.
Anh tình địch chẳng quanh vô thôi. tí với
Reno knew that that was going to happen, so he actually used the abyssal arrow towards the area of where Coily will retreat.
Hey man, they call him the Maestro for a reason. These arrows, another
Oh.
lands. Okay, it's on P, but that's gonna be a turret that's just about to go down. So it looks like there's gonna be a little bit of a break here while I kind of get things situated. Looks like it might be on BTR side, but man, you can see it. You know, this is one of
feel
those
it.
instances where they can feel it. They've done everything right up to this point. They look like they're going to be able to go ahead and make it happen. Again, they are approaching the base already. This Lord's going to be up here shortly. But it just feels like Pro Esports can't play against the arrows. It's not even just the arrows, man. It's the way that they're rotating around the map. BTR just kind of has things figured out. Meanwhile, Pro Esports, you know, they're leaning towards maybe their one and only angle, which is Kozin. It just feels like Coily's been shut down in that jungle Paquito, and they're not really able to move across the map that they had hoped for. And even so, you know, maybe that was kind of what bit them in the behind in the draft, flexing a little bit too many heroes to make this work. Looks like we're going to be jumping back into this game. Again, 9 minutes in, that Lord is still 40 seconds away. But right now, with BTR's lead, they're looking to take down some of these holy defense shields if they can. Oh,
After the drive committed onto Shogun, Saria Felix has to get out of there. Shogun is fairly healthy. After utilizing his ult, the Holy Shields will pop in the middle. No more Holy Shields up top. Coily standing in front of Shogun, unable to do anything as of yet, apart from them clearing the waves. Really just can't stop BTR from taking away their resources.
man, Wolf, this is one of those cases where, you know, Pro Esports, it just seems like backs are so far pushed against the wall that they can't really do much but watch. And now it's going to come down to one of those situations where do we take a risk? Do we take a potential chance to make something happen? It's not going to happen here on this first Lord as freely going to go over to BTR. They can't even get past this side of their jungle. So it's going to have to come down to a base defense. A conceal's used, though. An attempt there from Finn. Another arrow's going to land, but he's ready to go ahead and charge in if he needs to. And the big part of this, again, with this first Lord, getting ready to go ahead and spawn in and push, is a lot of these shields are already gone. So this might result into a game-winning push. Depending on how the team fight goes, it could just be all base turrets being taken on, or at least two.
Yeah.
Chú bị
Slow and steady, the push for the side of BTR.
đi lại nó xem về cái đã
They're not even clearing the minion wave in the middle. They want to make sure that at least two lanes will converge at the same time against the base of Pro Esports. And this is their decide. Three-pronged attack. Lord up top. Bottom lane Finn. Charging. The taunt does not connect. Coily with the pokes. Shogun into the battlefield. In the middle of the fight. P cancels his skill 1. And the Lord pushing naturally up top. No engagements just yet. P still cancels his first skill. Shogun, in comes the gonna catch Alpha the Guardian, does not catch anyone. And he goes 6 shade, right up the Dryad, into the turret. Oh, PvP overshot! He was
Tay
able
qua
to
đó.
hit, and now Soria Felix is gonna be down from the backlines. In comes Nael. It will take 1 kill for that one in a turret. As
Tụi bạn nó mà.
PvP overshot with the
tụi bạn nó dữ
Shogun is
vậy mà vài nọ ngọt trời ơi
is gonna be able to get on the stun onto the Coulson. Harith, oh my goodness, Moreno. He will be shut down by Sal, but that is a kill onto the gold laner. It would have been nice for BTR if they can be able to push now.
bên này
They
mà
want to go for the end.
They do want to
If
go
they
for the
can.
end. They have 3 minions. They have a lot of stuff going in, pressing against Pro Esports. They found Coily. Niall will not land some of those cables, but they will be able to take out the roamer. That's PvP down. Niall wants to go for the wall technique against Orion Felix.
ở đây rồi
No
rồi
minions available
Defend man,
to
defend man.
with.
cái đó
Now Pro Esports will be able to live for another day.
Oh man, it was looking grim there. Pro Esports though, staying in the game. They were so close to ending it here.
bạn lấy
Look
về
at the
kèm nè
difference in terms of items.
vay
BTR
chưa định là mặt
nearly
tự không
10,000 gold ahead. and they got all the base turrets off that Lord. It was really extended time in the base of Pro Esports, and now everything else is going to be taken from them. It's the Hunger Games, BTR taking the buffs, taking the camps, and prepping up for this Lord. It's up in 15. Again, Pro Esports, I think they just have to wait in the base and hope for something to happen here. The problem is these arrows, man. 6, 1, and 3. Yes, Moreno has 1 death, but he's just been so on point with the arrows, and it's making it so difficult for Pro Esports even to move forward.
Mày
Finn
chơi
and
vậy?
Shogun
Mày
take
chẳng thấy
Yasuo
lon nữa.
up on this front
Mày
side.
chơi
Lord already secured. They go in with the
chạy
Umbrella.
nhặt quýt đời Felix chạy nhặt
No
quýt
doubt,
đi.
Soria Felix is super duper low. Cayman collects that kill. It's a -1 for Pro Esports. His defense is gonna catch up with the jump. Gonna land
Tới ranh
now.
đâu quýt cho vậy?
Lord is gonna be marching
À,
in
tại đây nè.
through the middle lane.
Một kia nè.
Soria
No
Felix,
flicker.
he might be in time for this defense.
Yeah, no flicker available. Lord coming down this mid lane at 15 seconds for Sario and Felix. Here's the defense.
Oh, Boily jumps in forward. Now he's low. Now blazing to it will be cancelled actually. PPP will now be the target.
Ra nhá
The
là
rest of BTR,
Ui, Smart.
they want to push the base. They uptick it on goes in. Big target. And now BTR will take game 2. Into game 3 we go between Pro Esports and BTR by
à,
That's what we expected again on our last series for the day. Just like we saw previously, we've got one more game ahead of us. BTR by Vitality showing
ta
us
dương
just
bên live
how
bên đằng á.
strong they can make this work. And
Mà
maybe
game
you
tiếp
got a
dương
ban
ở bạn lại cho tí
Maestro
rằng
Selena.
dương mơ
Go
tôi
Pro
sạch.
Esports, make some changes
Mà
there
mong kỳ hãy bà
because it was
good
on
night.
point with the
Bye
arrow
bye
after
nha, yeah.
arrow, resulting into kills here.